Pen, this is my first kit car show and I keep hearing S.V.A. Pen, what exactly is it all about?
To most manufacturers it's a real groin strain, but basically it goes back to 1972. I mean, it's a long story, believe me, but it goes back to 72 when Norman Fowler, who was then the Minister of Transport, granted an exemption for amateur-built cars. Now this was fine. All you had to do was go and get an MOT on your kit-built vehicle. You got it registered in whatever registration number was available, boom, you were on the road. This was fine for some of the good ones. Some of the bad kits that got on the road between 72 and 79, you are some frightening stuff, really bad. Yeah. So basically, having made a rod for their own backs, the government then decided that it would be a really good idea to bring in a set of laws concurrent with Europe, or what is passing for European legislation, and S.V.A was born as an idea. It's taken forever. It's still going on. And what it is a sort of mini type approval. You have to have your car tested at a special testing station. Right? Normally these testing stations test lorries, right? But for £200, which is the current figure, you build your car and it has to live up to certain requirements. Right? Now this is down to the manufacturer, and then it gets passed on to the guy in the street who's buying the kit. So fair enough. Most of it involves engineering integrity, structures and radiuses, and the thing that is causing the biggest amount of problem is radii or radiuses. I'm not sure what the right word is. They have a set of parameters that go, if everything isn't curved, you've had it. No sharp projections. In type approval language, it's called exterior projections in real type approval. So everybody got very worried in the kit and replica market, particularly the replica market, because of all these angular nice little bits that you have on all the, the nice whizzy bits, period. They've had to change all those. Those have had to be rounded and curved, and they are measured with like a ball on a stick, and they, push it in, and if it doesn't fit round that, no good. Now a lot of manufacturers think that this is going to open the door to Europe, and it isn't, because the Germans aren't going to accept it for a start. Right? It is solely for the UK. Unfortunately, and typical of the government, who any government is particularly useless when it comes to motor car legislation, they've come across a bit of a flaw, in as much as this has opened the door to Japanese and foreign imports being able to be registered in this country without having to be type approved in any form whatsoever. All they've got to be able to do is pass S.V.A. Now, to our knowledge now, there's 20,000 imported Japanese cars sitting in a field in Wales waiting for S.V.A, which has been put back and back and back, and we are now coming up for May. It's supposed to be then, it's possibly June, it could be July. Everybody's tried to do their pre-testing. Everybody's tried to do pre-testing so that their cars will go through, so that consumers aren't worried by it. It is a small piece of legislation, and really there's no crash testing involved, and that's really where it should be. Right? The point being that S.V.A is an important step on the ladder to proper integration with Europe as far as kit cars are concerned. Whether the Europeans will ever accept it as a thing, as a piece of law, it's in the lap of the gods. It's seriously in the lap of the gods. But it'll happen, and everybody's got to comply with it, and if they don't comply with it, the cars won't get registered.
And there'll be a lot of people out of business, you think?
Certainly a few manufacturers will be forced to alter their cars in such a way as to detract from the way the car was. There are only so many of these testing stations in the UK. If all of a sudden 20,000 Japanese imports come hurtling at these stations, the kit car people are going to have a real struggle getting their cars registered just on a time basis. A lot of people in this industry are saying it's a good thing because it does give some margins of safety.
And that is very important, obviously.
Oh, extremely important, because if you go hark back to the old days, well, we had an industry which you just didn't know what was going on. So there you go, that's S.V.A as best we can say at this time.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
Yes, so that does make sense.
I'm glad
Thank
it did.
you.
My pleasure.